Welcome to Learning to Engineer. Today we are going to talk about the construction operation features of permanent magnet moving coil instruments, which is PMMC instruments. Let's get started. A PMMC instrument measures the DC current and DC voltage. Basically, any kind of DC electrical quantity that you want to measure, this is the kind of instruments that we'll use. We'll first see the constructional details of these instruments. In a PMMC meter, you will have a magnetic medium. It might be electromagnets, it might be normal physical magnets, or any kind of magnetic medium. Next is the moving coil, which is this. The moving coil will be tightly wound on an iron core, and this moving coil will be carrying the working current or the current that we are going to measure or analyze. Next is this magnets. Between these permanent magnets, you will be having this moving coil. The moving coil will be suspended either by jewel bearings like this, or it will have a taut suspension or a spring type of suspension. This is just to hold this in place. If you don't have this, what will happen? Due to the magnetic field that is present perpendicular to the current, the conductor will move and it will be moving in any direction. So you won't be able to connect a pointer to this and then measure the current or voltage or any other parameter that you want to. So at this point you will be having a spring connection. This spring connection will be in Z axis like this. Consider that this is the point and consider this to be in Z axis. Like this you will have the spring followed by the pointer over here. So you will have a spring here and then you will have a pointer here. The spring will be pivoted to this joint and then you will have a pointer. This pointer runs into the scale. So this is just the controlling system of it, and this is the deflection system. So you will be having something to suspend. Then you obviously have a pointer and a scale. So these are the basic components that will be there in any kind of DC meter. The principle is Fleming's left hand rule, where when you place the current carrying coil in a magnetic field perpendicular to the current, then the direction of motion of this coil will be in a direction perpendicular to both of the current as well as the magnetic field. So when this moving coil is pivoted at these two ends by one suspension system means what? Something to hang. It's just like a wire that hangs between a taut place and this moving coil so that it is staying in place. So when this moving coil moves due to the effect of magnetic field and the current is passing through it, what will happen? The pointer will get deflected. That is the general principle. So coming back to the constructional features, you have different kinds of moving coil. It might be rectangular, it might be circular, it might be mounted in different kinds of frames as well. I have a question for you. For a voltmeter, a rectangular and metallic frame will be used. Frame is just basically like a photo frame basically. So which will be holding the coil in place so that it doesn't come out of the shape or it doesn't come out of the core of the coil. So for voltmeters, you will be having a metallic frame over which the coil will be mounted. But for an ammeter, you will be having non-metallic coil. Why is that so? Voltmeter measures voltage, ammeter measures current. But why is this difference in the frame? This is because for a voltmeter, you will be having a series resistance that is connected to the meter. But in an ammeter, you will have a shunt resistance connected to an ammeter. So in ammeter, basically whatever be the current that is passing through the meter, it will be shunted. There will be a provision of a closing system. Say for example, here is your meter. I am just marking this as RA or the meter's resistance, and then you have a shunt resistance which is parallel to the ammeter. So basically whatever is the current that is passing through it will be measured by this and then you will get a reading. But for a voltmeter, you will be having this resistance in series. There won't be any shunt resistance to provide a loopback. So for that case, a non-metallic frame is sufficient to be present for a meter, but for a voltmeter, we need a metallic frame. So the frame and the other details depends on what kind of measurement that we are trying to make. There are three kinds of suspensions. One is the jewel bearing, it will look like this. Between these two bearings, the coil will be suspended, and there is another thing called torque suspension, where a very thick wire will be holding the moving coil in place. Next, you have a spring suspension, wherein spring will be there on either ends to ensure that it is perfectly in place. So these are the suspension systems. Coming to the pointer and scale, we have many kinds of metals. We have aluminium, we have silver, we have many other kinds of metals. But we mostly choose aluminium for making the pointer. This is because of its lightweight. When the current is carried by this moving coil, what happens is the coil moves and it is connected to this pointer. This pointer should be as light as possible so that it will be sensitive enough. For the slight amount of force, it should be moving. But if you say for example you have a wooden pointer, the wood is say 1 kilogram. Okay, so you have 1 kilogram wood in this place. So when you are passing 2 ampere of current, this wood will not even feel this change because of its weight. So we choose lightweight pointers for maximum sensitivity. If you want to know what sensitivity is, quickly check this video and then come back here. Okay, so we were talking about all these four constructional features. Now we will come to how this works. For a DC current or for a unidirectional current, the pointer is just going to move in one direction. The moving coil will be carrying the current that is passing through or the current that has to be measured. So it will be deflected in only one direction like this. Along the Z axis it will be able to move. So along the Z axis, when the spring shifts, this pointer will move into the scale. This is a very simple principle which most of you would have known by this time. But you need to know about the deflection system, damping system and the controlling system. In this video, I have explained all these systems in detail. What are the kinds of damping system, what are the types of damping provided, all that I have explained. Any sensing system is a deflection system. Next is a controlling system. If you allow the deflection system, say for example the pointer is the deflection system here, due to the force produced by the current, it will go directly to the maximum value even for a small amount of current. But this controlling springs or the controlling system will be pulling it back from the maximum value to the value where it's supposed to meet. Or if it is 5 ampere of current, it will stay right at the mark because of the controlling system. So the deflection system will be pushing it towards the reading, and then the controlling system will be preventing it from reaching the other end unless the deflection current is that much. So it will provide an equal but opposite force so that this deflecting system stays in place, but it will be oscillating through its median value. To prevent the oscillations, we use a damping system. Let's summarize all these concepts in equation forms. We will find out the torque equation of a PMMC meter. This is a very simple derivation, you don't have to memorize anything. If you just understand this working that I have mentioned, you will be able to understand the logic. What is derivation basically? Derivation is just finding out the desired value based on what it depends and what it doesn't depend. Say for example, you have a machine and the machine's output depends on 5 factors. So automatically the output is directly proportional to those 5 factors, wherein you will be measuring each one of them and then plotting it down in mathematical form so that you can calculate. In this example, you will know how much torque is provided for what amount of current. So based on this torque, you will be able to get, okay, say for example I am getting this much torque and this much will be the deflection. So accordingly I will calibrate the scale, or accordingly I will design the instrument. So you need to understand the torque equation first before you design any analog instrument. We have seen two systems which is acting here. One is the deflecting system and the other one is the controlling system. the deflecting system will be pushing the pointer towards the reading. So the deflecting torque is directly proportional to the number of coils. More the number of turns of the coil, more will be the torque, because the magnetic effect is getting multiplied over different coils. You will have more lines of force that is coming out of this core, which is cutting the magnetic field. So basically, more the number of turns, more will be the torque. Next is the magnetic field strength or the magnetic field. If you have powerful magnets, more will be the strength, right? So proportionally the torque will also be more. Next is the area of the coil. If it is a rectangular coil, you can say that the area is length into the depth or length into the width, however it is. So it is proportional to the number of turns of coils, magnetic field strength, and the area of cross section, and the current, obviously the current that is passing through. 5 ampere of current will cause a less deflection and less torque, and 10 ampere current will cause more torque. So it depends on all these factors. So the deflecting torque is equal to some constant times NB LD into I. So this is the deflecting torque. The controlling torque depends on the type of control that we are using. Say for example, we are using spring control. So the controlling torque when you are using spring control is directly proportional to the deflection. So this can be replaced by a numerical constant, and this controlling torque will be equal to the spring's tension times theta C, or the angle through which it deflects. So basically the damping system ensures that the deflecting torque and the controlling torque are same. That is the work of the damping system, right? So we have to equate them. So this implies NB, length into width or length into depth, times the current is equal to Kc into theta. So this implies that the angle of deflection will be So this is the expression for a PMMC instrument. If you provide 5 ampere of current into such a meter, you will be getting this much angle of deflection. All these components like number of turns, magnetic field strength, length, width and other things, it depends on the instrument's values. All these you will be able to get in the data sheet of an instrument. A data sheet will look something like this, and so this is the expression for the angle of deflection for a given amount of current. All these are instruments constants. The number of turns, the magnetic field strength, the area, and then the springs constant, everything. I have a question for you. Why should we derive the torque equation of an instrument? So basically this is the equation of angle of deflection when a set amount of current is passed through a meter. Why do you need this equation? You are going to buy a ammeter from the market. You are going to measure current using it. Say you send 5 ampere, it gives you 5 ampere and you are satisfied. That is the purpose, right? Why do you need this equation? Why do you want to know how much degrees is the point of moving when you pass this amount of current? This is because not all instruments are free from errors. When you buy an instrument, it will be free from wear and tear, so it might give you near to accurate readings. You might not know when is the machine weak, or you might not know when to relay the reading. So you need to calculate the value of angle of deflection every now and then, maybe in a periodical time. You can find out the value of the number of turns, the magnetic field strength, area and all these things. You can just put the value of current and check if the value of theta is right. So once you have calculated the error, in future you can use this error for your calculations. In future, if you are using this device to measure 5 ampere of current, you can make the adjustments corresponding to the error value that you are finding. So basically, whenever you get an instrument, you need to know the torque equation so that you can calculate the error. This is the true value of angle of diffraction. The measured value will be whatever is there on your meter. You can calculate the error by using that. For a detailed video on errors and the concepts of errors, what are the types of errors and how do you need to manipulate them, check out this video so that you will have a better information about errors. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do give a thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you.